There is a specific kind of hatred reserved for people who keep winning. Not the hatred you feel when someone beats you once, that fades, that's just competition. This is something different, something that stays, something that gets louder every time they win again, until eventually people stop trying to beat them and start trying to explain why their victories don't count. And nobody on earth understands this better than Lionel Messi. Think about his career arc for a second. For years, the argument was that he couldn't do it internationally. Club player, couldn't carry a team, needed Xavi and Iniesta to be great. So he went and won the Copa América, then the Finalissima, then the World Cup. But the criteria changed. Suddenly the World Cup was just a 7-game tournament. Suddenly his goals were mostly penalties. Suddenly assists didn't matter. Suddenly the conversation wasn't Messi versus Ronaldo anymore. It was Mbappe, or Haaland, or whoever happened to make the comparison feel less uncomfortable. The goalposts didn't move once, they became mobile. He's now 39 years old, just played his 6th World Cup, a strong contender in the Golden Boot race, competing with players almost half his age. And the people rooting for him to fail have never been louder. That's not rivalry, that's something else. So why does winning make people hate you? Because winning, at a certain level, stops being about sport. It becomes a mirror. When someone keeps succeeding despite everything working against them, despite the criteria shifting, despite the goalposts moving, despite the narrative being rewritten every time they clear the new bar, what they're actually doing is exposing the system. They're proving that the system isn't neutral, that the standards applied to them were never applied equally, that the people setting the criteria were never really interested in fairness. They were interested in a particular outcome. And the people who built that system don't like being exposed. But it goes deeper than that. There's also something that happens to the people watching, and that's when I realized maybe this isn't really about football, because we do this everywhere, at work, in school, in business, in relationships. When someone keeps exceeding the standards we set for them, we rarely admit they were better. We invent new standards. Psychologists sometimes call this cognitive dissonance, the discomfort we feel when reality refuses to agree with the story we've already decided to believe. If they can keep going after everything, if they can keep winning after the goalposts move, if they can keep performing at this level at this age against these opponents, then what's your excuse? That's the question nobody wants to sit with. Messi's continued existence at the top level is an inconvenient argument against every reason we give ourselves for not becoming what we could have been. It's easier to call the game scripted. It's easier to say the World Cup doesn't count. It's easier to move the bar again than to sit with what his winning actually means. The greatest players, the ones who genuinely transcend their sport, don't just beat opponents, they beat narratives. And beating a narrative is the thing people never forgive. Because narratives are how we make sense of the world. When someone keeps dismantling the story we told ourselves about why they should fail, they're not just winning a game, they're taking something from us. Maybe that's what the hatred is really about. Not the winning, but what the winning proves.